Oh, but then there's a narrow, specific gate. Like Matthew 28 says that we're all called to preach. But then there's this very specific assignment that he put in your DNA, a spiritual DNA. Think about that. We could be different and still work together. So when we get our specific anointing, brother, right there, you have an anointing, a specific anointing on your life. Yes, I'm calling you out. Yes, brother, you have a specific anointing on your life. You're called to do something very specific, and Father expects you to do it. And then when you don't, fire! And so you think about an individual who goes their whole life and every time I put my hands and stuff, it just won't prosper, just won't grow, just won't produce. Are you working outside of your anointing? Are you working outside of a place where Father told you, Father created you in a certain way, but then you find yourself constantly doing stuff because you heard, oh, I heard this is a good way to make it. I heard this and I heard this, I heard that. And so you become a data collection of data of other people's ideas versus flowing in your own anointing, right? And so the challenge that Peter says now is, I'm going to challenge you to make your calling and election sure. This word sure is firm. I know without a doubt. I know that Father called me to XYZ. Unless you can say that, you are not sure. So here's the beginning. 1. Yeah, you still writing? 1. Do you know your call? And do you know your election? Right? And so there's a difference between a call and an election. And so I may be called to be a deliverer. Hosea, you're called to be a deliverer to the nations. You're called to be a deliverer. I thank you for your anointing, sister. I appreciate it. You're called to be an anointing. You're called to be a deliverer. You're called to be a deliverer. Right? But am I called to deliver every person? You see, I may have an anointing and a call to be something, but my assignment is not to everybody. I don't have to say yes to every door that opens. I don't have to say yes to every single person that needs to be rescued. That's not my call. That's not my election. There's a very specific group of individuals that agree with my anointing. Some people find it grotesque. Some people is repulsed by it. Some people like say, I can't stand everything he says. Well, you're not called to this anointing. This is a very specific anointing. So when I see a brother who has a familiar anointing, I respect it, right? Because I know it's a very niche individual. Does it mean that I can't help everybody? No, I can help people. That's the call. We're all called to be deliverers, general. But then the election is very specific.